I'm thinking back to like every person that I've interacted with, just people I walked past on the streets before then, and, you know, people at my local cafe, you know, grocery store.
2 weeks ago, musician Dan Williams tested positive to coronavirus. Health authorities traced the most likely source to an Uber ride he took in Sydney on March 14.
They said that I needed to get tested right away. At that point, I'd already been tested and I'd already tested positive.
So the chain of infection of the virus was Dan, our drummer, picked it up in an Uber.
But before he developed symptoms or had even gone for testing, Dan was in a recording studio with fellow band member Jim Finn.
We'd spent that Wednesday in the studio recording, so I'd been in quite close contact, meaning I had to get straight into isolation. On Monday, I got a call from one of the doctors at the hospital confirming that, yes, I did have COVID-19.
Hello there.
How you
How's your
feeling?
life in isolation?
It's okay. It's a little bit boring.
I was about to say my symptoms are clearing up somewhat, and then I just coughed.
My whole world exists between this room.
Jim has now isolated himself inside the Bondi apartment he shares with his fiancée.
Hey, Don. I don't need to go out there, so I'm not going to risk infecting the healthy person on the other side of that door, working away hard.
Uber Australia says it's giving drivers disinfectant, and those who test positive will get 2 weeks compensation to encourage reporting, ultimately keeping passengers safe.
This coronavirus is the perfect storm.
Professor Brendan Crabb is an infectious disease researcher who's spent months watching the spread of the virus.
Where we're at in Australia at the moment is using the only tool we have, which is shutting down to a large degree a functioning society to minimise the chances of people contacting one another.
So it's been about 7 days since the symptoms came on. Can't go for a swim, I can't go for a walk on the beach, and can't feel the grass on my feet or the wind in my hair. It's funny what you miss, but yeah, just getting over it, hey. Let me out! This morning, Dom woke up and she's got a headache, she's got blocked sinuses and a sore throat. And those were the exact symptoms that I had when this whole thing kicked off. So she's going to head up to the hospital and get herself tested. So Dom just got a message from St Vincent's Hospital. Your novel coronavirus swab result has returned negative. Yes. So no coronavirus for Dom. So hopefully this is the end of this branch of the tree of the infection chain and no more corona spread from this end.
This is going to be one of the roughest 2 or 3 weeks we've ever had.
Australian Louise Robertson is stuck inside her Manhattan studio apartment after testing positive.
I am now day 10 since the start of my symptoms. So it's day 14.
So I am over 2 weeks now, 3 more days in my prison.
My symptoms really didn't begin in the classic way that many cases of coronavirus are. I had lost my sense of taste and my sense of smell. So hopefully, my case is somewhat cautionary. I think I'm a classic example of someone who's young, who's had relatively mild symptoms of the virus, certainly symptoms that weren't necessarily a classic case of coronavirus that I could have easily brushed off as not important. So I think it's time for Australia to take those things seriously. You don't want to end up in a situation like New York, where our hospital system is really about to be very overwhelmed. So I still don't have my sense of taste or smell back yet, but going to make myself a cup of coffee this morning, and fingers crossed I can smell my coffee.
I can taste. It's not super strong, but I can definitely taste my coffee. It's a good day.
LA-based director Jennifer Soldatic has been in self-isolation at a hotel in Sydney after flying in for her father's birthday.
On returning to Sydney, I decided that I should self-quarantine, and this was quite a few days before the government insisted on Australians returning to self-quarantine.
Despite having no obvious symptoms, Jennifer insisted on getting tested as she was worried about infecting her elderly parents. Her test came back positive.
It took 48 hours and New South Wales Health had called me. My GP didn't call me, New South Wales Health did. I literally collapsed. I was in shock. I became extremely teary. My first thought was, who have I infected?
I've got so much food from family and friends.
While Jennifer is thankful she's self-isolated, with rising community contact rates, she's haunted by the thought of what might have been.
It doesn't matter if you look sick or not, and that we have to be vigilant with the virus because a virus is really non-discriminatory.
2 weeks on, finally some good news.
I'm back!
I'm just off the phone to my doctor, and after my 2 negative tests, COVID-19 tests, he has now freed me to go back out into self-isolation.
Although relieved Jim's fiancée doesn't have coronavirus, the couple aren't taking any chances.
Well, I'm getting to the end now of my time in quarantine, and you really notice the effect the outdoors has on your mental health, that's for sure. I think that if Dom and I are able to stop it spreading between the two of us living in the same apartment, then makes me reasonably optimistic that we'll be able to slow it spreading through the community.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 730's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.